One of the oddest and most amazing things about Christianity is it insists upon combining seeming opposites. That, of course, is symbolized in the incarnation, which says we have here combined two things that you would think belong together as much as like gravity and kittens, like God and humanity. They seem to not in any way share the same space or meaning. And the incarnation says, here we have both happening at once, God and humanity. Now, the point of that is not just to believe in something wild and odd. The point, I think it, is that all of human reality requires believing two intense things at the same time. And for us today, I think the most intense combination of realities is we have an entirely ruined and messed up world that is super violent and super discouraging. And we have a century of climate change that appears to be apocalyptic in its scope. And we also have an intense way of being able to love sacrificially and unconditionally that we know, at least by teachings and the witness of great saints in history. Now, the challenge is to not just fall into either of those, just like to fall into a mere pessimism and to say things are just awful. But also not to just fall into a cheap optimism that says things are great if we only just love each other. I think what is needed is not even something in the middle, but an intense combination of those. We need to embrace how the world is really terrible. It's in fact probably even worse than we think it is. And yet also at the same time, we need this like wild, savage optimism that says the only way through this is going to be through all of us doing everything we can to better and improve the world. This combination of optimism and pessimism is about not just meeting halfway in the middle, but combining the two intensely. I got that out of G.K. Chesterton and his way of thinking that we live in a paradoxical faith or a combination of seeming opposites. And so that is much of, I think, of what I got in Girard as well, which is there is no use in saying, well, the world isn't so bad. No, the world really is bad all the way down to its foundation. And even in our minds themselves, we're habituated to a sort of misapprehension or a misguided desire that leads to a type of violence and injustice in our world. But also what is needed at the same time, while we pessimistically acknowledge that, is an intense type of hope that will insist upon working for the good, for the just, not because we know it'll work out, but just because it is truth. And that's what we should live for is truth. So, and the truth really is love. So to me, that's really where that intense opposites comes together, both in Chesterton's idea and Girard's idea of identifying the evil, but identifying also the necessary good that is needed to overcome it.